And I'll just take you on a quick tour of the city and show you what you can buy for around $1 million in Calgary. Now, for this search, I've set it for $950,000 up to $1.05 million. And these are sold properties, so I'm not concerned about the active listings because you could majorly overprice your home. So I just want to show you what has actually sold for around $1 million. And these are all just single-family detached homes. Obviously, there are condos, townhouses, and duplexes that can be around that price range too. But for this example, I'm just using single-family homes. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, I've mentioned it a few times that the western half of the city is more expensive than the eastern half for the most part. And this chunk, kind of like over here, all of this, probably around to like Glenmore Trail, this huge section of the city is the more affordable part of Calgary, but there are some options for homes that have sold around $1 million. You can see here in this pocket in the deep northeast, there are some sales. Now, if you are curious, this is the downtown core right here. And the city gets newer as you go out from the downtown core. So these areas in the deep northeast are generally fairly new. And the homes that have sold around $1 million are typically around these lakes that you see here. Lakes, ponds, and green paths and stuff like that. So I'll show you a couple of these options here. So the first one, 596 Terra Lake Way Northeast. And I'll just show you some of the photos. And then my photo over here. So this one, built in 2010, is a 3,215 square foot property and has 4 bedrooms above grade. It has 6 full bathrooms with a walkout, fully finished suited basement with a double attached garage. So this is probably good for a big family, which is very popular in the Northeast. You see a lot of multi-generational households in the Northeast. And so here are some of the photos. So a nice looking property. And you can see here, it's quite nice. So a lot of these homes that are in this price range are backing onto little ponds and lakes like this. And the Northeast gets a bad rap as being the least desirable part of the city, but there are definitely good parts to it. And here are some of the photos. Not necessarily my style of home, but it definitely appeals to a lot of consumers, I would say. And I'll just go back so you can see the pond again. So a nice looking property. So you get the idea. I'll go to the next one. So that's that one. Here's another one. This one sold for $995,000. This is a 2-story built in 2009. Sold for $995,000. It has an illegal suited basement, 2,826 square feet, and it has 6 full bathrooms again. That's quite a few. And I'll show you some photos here. So it looks fairly nice and modern. Let me get a kitchen shot for you. Here you go. And that gives you a rough idea. So in the Northeast, you'll find somewhat newish, lots of bathrooms, big square footage, and usually they're around like the lakes and stuff like that. And so moving along, so as you can see, there's not too many other options in the Northeast. This giant section right here would be like in the average price ranges, so it won't be close to the $1 million area. So I'm going to skip down to the south part of the city. And you will find a lot of lake communities in the deep south of Calgary. You can see all the blue here on the map. And so the first one I'll show you here is in Mahogany. And if I zoom in, you can kind of see these homes that are backing onto the lakes and the ponds and stuff like that are usually more expensive. So 62 Masters Avenue. This one sold for $955,000. It's a 2,700 square foot property, 4 bedrooms above grade, built in 2014. Only has 2.5 bathrooms. That's an unfinished basement, that's why, with a double attached garage. So here are some of the photos. So Mahogany is a very scenic neighborhood, lots of little walking paths like this and a lot of different water features. You can see here some cool photos. Walkout basement, very scenic. A good summer shot of all the walking paths. So you'll see a lot of properties like this in the deep south that are around these different lake communities. It gives you a rough idea. So there's that one. Let's move along here. So Mahogany and Auburn Bay, Very similar neighborhoods. I would just say Mahogany is a bit newer compared to Auburn Bay, but they are very similar. And this one, also in close proximity to the lake. I don't think it backs directly onto it. Here's a wintertime shot of all the different parks and lakes around this area. A little hockey game in action. Nice backyard. And actually it does back onto the lake, so that's a bit of its own dock. And you get the idea. Moving on to the next one. So you'll find lots of options like this in the south that are around these different lakes. And the last area in this deep southeast pocket, we have Riverstone, which is this pocket right here. So this whole area is called Cranston, but the Riverstone area, you come down this hill, this section right over here, is a newer pocket that is pretty high end. You can find homes in this area that are around $2 million, but there are some options that are less than that. So this one built in 2017, so it is a newer pocket of Cranston again. 2,401 square feet, a fully finished walkout basement, 3 full bathrooms, 1 half bathroom, 3 bedrooms above grade, and it's sold for $950. Nice looking property, looks really nice and modern. Now this one, I don't think it backs onto the river, but we'll see as we go along here. No, it doesn't back onto the river, but it looks like it backs onto a bit of a green space, so for extra privacy. And you get the idea. Very nice looking property. You will find a lot of these options in the Riverstone area and higher in value. And I would say like Chaparel, kind of similar to what we mentioned about Mahogany Albert Bay, just a bit older Chaparel. And now this chunk of the southwest, for the most part, is not super high end, but there are pockets that can be a bit pricey. Obviously the homes that are backing onto Fish Creek Park are higher in value than the ones that are throughout the neighborhood. So Shawnee Slopes, there's an older part to it right over here, and there's a newer part to it. This section, it's all brand new construction. And this home right here I picked out it's sold for $999,900. Built in 2017, so not brand new, but not terribly old. 2-story, sold for $999,900. 2,200 square feet, fully finished basement, 4 bedrooms above grade, 3.5 bathrooms. Here are some of the photos. So it looks like it backs onto some kind of park. Yeah, as you can see right here. So no neighbors behind you, so it adds some additional privacy. And I'll try to get some interior shots here. Now, if you have questions, just let me know. I can cycle through these photos fairly quickly. But if you have questions, just reach out to me, you text me, or you can just comment on the YouTube comment section. So it gives you an idea. It looks like a new modern property. So that would be Riverstone. And let's go north of Fish Creek Park. So this giant green section right here is Fish Creek Park. It stretches throughout most of the south part of Calgary. It's a huge park. You will find properties in Lake Bonavista, this neighborhood right here, that can sell. I've seen some that go over $2 million. Actually, I've seen some that go over $3 million. So this can be a very pricey neighborhood, but there are pockets that aren't as expensive. You can find homes here from like 800s to like 1.1. I'd say it's very common nowadays. And this one, built in 1972, sold for $955,000. This is a bungalow. So most of the homes that we've seen so far are 2 stories, but this is a bungalow option, and a big one. 1,467 square foot bungalow is massive. 3 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms, double attached garage. It's heated garage, and you can see here some of the photos. So this one looks like it has been renovated a little bit. And if you're watching this and you're a builder or a renovator, this area can be quite good for flipping properties. If you can find one of the older bungalows from the 70s that hasn't been renovated, and you can get it at the right price, you could definitely renovate that and flip it. So nice looking property. That is Lake Bonavista for you. Now I'm going to switch over to the north side of Fish Creek Park. So Woodbine and Woodlands, for the most part, are not super high end. They're pretty typical, I'd say, of the south, but there are pockets that are backing onto the park, like this section over here and down here. And here's one that sold for 1.03 million. Older home built in 1987. Again, sold for 1.03 million. Giant home, 3,398 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, fully finished basement, double garage. And you can see here the park in the background. So just a monster-sized property. And so it's dated though, but you could buy this and you could put money into it. And I mean, it'd be hard to flip it. So it depends how much money you put into it, but there is still some money to buy it, renovate it how you'd like, and live in it. It'd be tough to fully renovate this and flip it, I imagine, at this price. But it's definitely a desirable neighborhood to live in. And so that's Woodbine and Woodlands area. I'm going to zoom out further. Now this section right here, Oak Ridge, Cedar Brae, Braeside, Palliser, you won't find too many properties around 1 million in this area. But if you go to Pump Hill, Bayview, Eagle Ridge, Lakeview Village over here, you can find properties that are $2 million plus in these neighborhoods. These get very pricey. So that's why you don't see any options for 1 million sales here, because they're more expensive than that. So if you are curious, I've got a video specifically on the most expensive neighborhoods in Calgary, and I go over these areas in more detail, and you can find that video by clicking the link right here. And this part of the city, from the Glenmore Reservoir all the way to the Mount Royal area, this chunk of the city is, I would say, it's the most expensive part of Calgary. So the homes here are just selling well above 1 million. That's why you don't see too many options here. As you move away into the west side of the city, I'll start here at Altadore. So you'll see a lot of properties like this around the Altadore area. This one's built in 2005, sold for 1.02 million, 2-story. Not a full-size lot. The fronting is 27 feet by 122 feet. So a full-size lot in Calgary is about 50 feet by 120. So a bit of a narrower lot, 2,000 square feet. It sold for 1.02 million. It's a 2-story, fully finished basement, 3 bedrooms above grade, 3.5 bathrooms. And you'll see properties like this all over the inner city area. So it's not brand new, but it's early 2000, I think it was. And there are just tons of options like this around the Marda Loop, Altadore area. Moving along, I'm going to talk about Karne, and I'm actually going to talk about this area as well. This huge chunk of the city. It's far away from Karne, but they're actually quite similar in terms of product type and pricing. And what I mean by that, so if I pull up one here, 2422 34th Street Southwest, you will see a ton of properties like this one throughout these regions. So this is a brand new infill. So 25-foot lot by 120 feet deep. So what's happening is people are buying older bungalow lots that are 50 by 120 feet, and they're putting 2 properties there, or they're putting a duplex. And you'll see all sorts of properties throughout Calgary in the inner city like this. So this one sold for 1.014 million, 2-story, 2,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms above grade, 3.5 bathrooms. Then most of the time, I'd say the basement is finished in this price range and has a double detached garage. This product type, you'll see it all over the place. They're very common. They all look kind of similar to me, just like this. And they're generally around 1 million. And you will also see a lot of duplexes like this as well that are the same size. They're about 2,000 square feet. They're just attached to the home right next to it. And they all kind of have a similar new look. So you'll find lots of properties like that in this chunk of Calgary, and you'll also find in this giant chunk of the city right here, very similar product types, very similar price range. I'm going to move to the west here. This area right here, Christy Park, I think it's a very cool neighborhood. It has a very unique look for Calgary. You don't see that much brick in Calgary, but in Christy Park, all the homes kind of look like this. This one sold for $960,000. It's a home built in 1992, a two-story, 2,200 square feet, finished walkout basement, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. And again, they have a very unique look in Christy Park. I think it's a cool neighborhood. And this one might be a bit dated, looks like to me, but a very desirable neighborhood on the west side of Calgary, which is one of the more popular regions of the city. So that's what you get for $1 million around the Christy Park area. And I'll go north to Patterson. This is actually a home I showed a few months ago. This property has sold for $1.018 million. Now this is a very unique property. They have it listed as a two-story, but it's actually like I think it's either a 5 or a 6 level split. It was a huge home, 3,600 square feet. It was just a monster property. 4 bedrooms above grade. It had 3.5 bathrooms. And if you're watching this from Toronto or Vancouver, like this sold for $1 million. It's just a humongous home. It's probably the same price as like a condo in Vancouver or Toronto. So if you're watching this and you're considering moving, you can find homes like this for similar price ranges as you can for like studio condos in those two cities. So that could be one reason why you should come to Alberta. It's just way more affordable. So this is a very unique property. This is one of the most unique homes I've ever seen. The pictures don't do it justice. There's just so many levels to it. So one here, one here, one here. There's a basement below this. There's another floor higher than this. It was either a 5 or a 6 level split. Moving along here. And again, the photos don't do it justice because it really was a massive property. And I quite liked it. So moving along, let's go further into the west end, and let's check out this one in Springbank Hill, which is another very popular neighborhood. And this is a neighborhood that you'll find homes that can sell over $2 million. Some, I would say, are even approaching $3 million. It can be a very expensive neighborhood, but this one gives you an idea of what sells for $1 million in the west side, on the west side. So this is a two-story for $1.003 million. 2,400 square feet, finished basement with a walkout basement, 3.5 bathrooms, double attached garage. So a very typical property that you might see in the Calgary suburbs. Nice looking property. This is a very scenic neighborhood. You can see like the rolling foothills. You can see mountains in the distance. This home looks a bit dated to me, but still looks very nice. And that gives you just a rough idea what's going for $1 million in the west end. So I'm going to zoom out here. Now let's go into the northwest part of Calgary. We're almost finished our brief tour. So next up is Varsity Estates. So Varsity is this big neighborhood right here. Very popular neighborhood right near the University of Calgary, which is this section over here. And the estates part of Varsity is this chunk right here. All the homes are backing onto the Silver Springs golf course, and they can get very pricey. You can find homes in here that have sold over $2 million, but there will be a lot of options for $1 million homes as well. Older neighborhood, this is built in 1974, sold for exactly $1 million, 2,500 square foot, two-story, finished basement, 4 bedrooms above grade, 3.5 bathrooms. Double attached garage. And this is a very nice neighborhood, very desirable, lots of nice mature trees, easy access to the golf course. And this home is definitely dated, but it looks like it was very well kept. So this is something that you could definitely buy and fix up, and you could probably flip it. I sold one here back a couple of years ago before COVID in the 700s, and it had to be gutted. And I'm not actually sure what it's sold for, but you can definitely flip homes in this area. There's a good market for Varsity Estates, and the homes can get quite pricey. All right, so that's Varsity Estates. very popular neighborhood. And another very popular neighborhood is Edgemont. That is this huge neighborhood right here. Lots of different subregions of Edgemont. So I've got a video specifically on this neighborhood, which you can find by clicking this link right here. And this home sold for $988. Built in 1993, 2,426 square feet, so a decent-sized home. 4 beds above grade, 4 full bathrooms. And this is in Edge Valley, which is a very scenic part of Edgemont. And see if I can find some valley photos for you. This one's dated as well, but you could definitely buy this, put some money into it, no problem whatsoever. One of the more popular neighborhoods of Northwest Calgary. And I'll just show you, I can zoom in here. So one of the reasons why this area is so popular is this giant chunk in the middle is a big valley. It has some of the most beautiful views in all of Calgary. And all these little paths, these are all different running paths, walking trails, parks that are littered throughout the neighborhood. So it's a very popular neighborhood. And you can find homes in here that can sell well above $1 million. And last up on our list, let's go deep, deep northwest, and we'll talk about Rocky Ridge. So 339 Rocky Ridge Drive, so for $1.015 million. This is a 1,618 square foot property built in 2000 with a walkout basement, 1 bedroom above grade. That seems a bit odd. This is a bungalow as well, so it's not a 2-story. It has 2.5 bathrooms. And I'll just show you some of the photos here. So that's what I thought. This area is very scenic. It's the highest point in Calgary as far as I know, and you can get some really good views of downtown and the Rocky Mountains and the foothills. And kind of see here, kind of like a bit of a dated looking bungalow, but excellent views as you can see out the window here. And that just gives you a rough idea of some of the properties available to you in Rocky Ridge. And there you have it. That's my quick rundown of what you can get for about $1 million in Calgary. If you have any questions whatsoever about your specific situation, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'm easy to get a hold of, and I'd love to help you out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.